It's time for another one of my dispatches from my backyard. As this week has progressed, I have gotten more and more stressed out, which is probably why I'm having a gout flare-up. Great way to start a video, Cindy. My existential crisis is happening on YouTube. Hi friends, I was going to do a video review today of the notebook that I think is going to be my bullet journal notebook for 2021. However, I'm just really not feeling reviewy. I'm filming this on the day it's going to go live. I'm filming this on November 5th, so it probably is no shock that I, as an American, am in kind of a haze right now because of the election. So instead of talking about the specific notebooks in a review sense, I thought instead I would talk to you about what I want in a bullet journal notebook and the process that I go through to kind of decide on what I want, to help you maybe decide on what you want the next time you need a new notebook, or the first time you need a notebook. Current notebook is a Leuchtturm 1917. This has been my 2020 bullet journal all year, mostly because I didn't use it for a big chunk of the year once COVID started. It is A5 size. All of the notebooks I have used for a bullet journal since I started bullet journaling a few years ago have been A5 size. That is probably going to be the first change. I have been utilizing the running weekly method that I got from Plant-Based Bride, which is the 2-page version where you fold the page and then you can see the task list. And honestly, it's just not big enough for me. I need a little bit more space, especially if I'm going to be going bullet journal only and no regular planner, which I am doing right now as an experiment, and I am thinking I might do for 2021, at least for the start of the year. And because I'm used to splitting my planning up between 2 planners, A5 is probably not going to be the size for me. A lot of bullet journal notebooks come with things like straps and bookmarks and pen loops and all of that. This one comes with 2 bookmarks and a strap to hold it together, but no pen loop. Honestly, I don't need any of it. Maybe a bookmark. The strap is nice. You know those stretchy headbands that sometimes are sparkly and you put them on? Those work fine for straps. And as for pen loops, I'm normally at my desk, so I don't need a pen loop. And if I went somewhere, I usually have pens in my purse. Who am I kidding? I always have so many pens in my purse. So the size, to me, is most important. Oops. Extras, not so much. There are all sorts of kinds of notebooks you can get, from blank to dot grid, regular graph paper, lined, college world, wide world, whatever. I like dot grid because I like having the dots there as a reference and to help with spacing and everything else, but they're less intrusive than, say, graph paper, which I love to practice lettering on. I also feel that my favorite kinds of dot grid paper are kinds where the dot grid is less dark, like the ink, the printing of the dot grid is lighter, like dark enough to see it, but light enough that it doesn't like command a lot of attention when you're looking at a page. One of the things that kind of irks me about the Leuchtturm is how off-white it is. It's not white. The paper is kind of cream. I don't know how well it picks up on camera outside. Like, this paper is more ivory. I'm not a huge fan, but obviously it's not something that is a deal breaker for me. And then the color of the notebook is kind of important to me. It doesn't have to be my favorite color in the world, but if it was like some color I really hate, I don't really hate any colors, but if it's some color I'm not a fan of, or it doesn't go with my, like, the aesthetic I'm trying to go for on my desk, because yes, I do that, then I'm not going to like it as much. So having a color that I like is helpful, but not required. The notebook that I think I'm going to use is a Bear and Fig notebook. I learned about these from Shada Campbell. They're called Confidant is the kind of notebook. They come in these boxes. And the one I ordered was the flagship size, which is 5.4 inches by 7.7 inches, which is slightly smaller than A5. And when I originally ordered it, I thought that this would be the size for me because I hadn't even learned about that Alistair method running weekly, which I'll leave a link to in the description below. I hadn't even learned about that yet. And so this A5 size, what I have always used, would be fine. And so this one was a little bit smaller. It has this lovely like wine color. It's looking kind of mauve on camera, but it's like a mauvey wine color. It's so pretty. And it's got like a cloth, like linen-y cover, which I really love the feeling of. There's no strap. There's one bookmark. The paper is a little grayish off-white, and the dot grid is really pale. I don't know how well you can see because I'm outside. And again, I'll do a full review of this next month. But the dot grid is a pale gray. So all of those things are yay. The other thing that's important to me, and that might be important to you, is the weight of the paper. Now, here's the thing. The bullet journal community started, maybe not started, but when I first was in the bullet journal community, the Leuchtturm was like the king of bullet journal notebooks. However, as people got more artistic with their bullet journals and putting paint and using lots of markers and shit in their bullet journals, the Leuchtturm paper just was not holding up to that. And so Archer and Olive came out with a style of notebook that was similar, A5 with the dots and everything, but the paper was 160 GSM, like really thick, kind of cardstocky paper. And so people migrated out. I tried doing that and I discovered that I don't actually like paper that thick. I don't use enough stuff on my pages to require that thick of paper. What I wanted was my first bullet journal notebook, which was Scribbles That Matter, and they changed their paper over time, and now you can get their old paper, but you have to do like the inserts into a cover, and I did a video on that, and it's a pain in the ass. So this Confidant from Bear and Fig has paper that is much more similar to the old Scribbles That Matter paper. I haven't tested it yet for bleed and everything, although that doesn't bother me too much. The Leuchtturm hella bleeds. I like the feel of it, I like the tooth of it, I like the color of it, and I like the weight of it. I take my sweater off, it's getting warm out here. It's supposed to get really cold tomorrow. Well, colder, but like a 15-degree drop. Anyway, paperweight is 90 GSM, which I am very happy with. But the size, A5 is already not going to be big enough for me, and this is slightly smaller. Thankfully, Bear and Fig carries a plus notebook, Confidant, that is 7 by 10, which I think is actually going to be a perfect size for me. The biggest drawback is that it only comes in 2 colors. It comes in dark gray and light gray. I got the light gray. They're both really pretty colors, and I like light gray. It's actually the color of the walls in my house. But I really love that mauve, and they don't have that. So this is the bigger notebook, and I think this is going to be the one that I go with. Having a bigger size 90 GSM paper, I think, are the two kind of the selling points for me on this. They're actually not that expensive either. I feel like the smaller one was 18 bucks and the bigger one was maybe 20 bucks. The bigger one might be a little bit more expensive, decent price, and you can even subscribe and have them send you them at intervals for a cheaper price. So I'm excited to use this. Like I said, I will do a much more inclusive review of this later in the month, but basically, when it comes to choosing a notebook or something like bullet journaling, there are so many choices out there, but the biggest thing to keep in mind is what you are going to do with it. Not what the people you watch on YouTube are going to do with it or the people that you follow on Instagram. If X person on Instagram paints the shit out of their bullet journal with gouache, and so having an Archer and Olive is perfect for them, and you're like, well, they have an Archer and Olive, so I want an Archer and Olive. You may find that it's excessive, or you might really like it. I should mention also, the biggest reason I also didn't want an Archer and Olive is not only would the thickness of the paper be wasted on me, but there's less pages because the paper is thicker. The Confidant that I'm going to use, the smaller one has 192 pages, but the big puppy has 208 pages. So to me, that is way more important than how thick the paper is how much paper there is, because I want the notebook to last longer. Now, I didn't do this as like a, how do you decide what you want? But to give you kind of my thought process and how I'm picking a bullet journal notebook for next year as somebody who has done it and has changed styles multiple times. My way of picking is to think about what it is I really want out of a notebook. What am I going to do with it? I might use some markers. I might do some doodling, but I don't think I'm going to paint. I painted for jokes in my bullet journal, but honestly, I paint in other places in my life. In my notebook is not what I want to do. The most I'll do is add stickers to it. Think about the different things you're intending to do, the different styles you want to try. If you think you might paint, it might be better to buy one. Prices also go up for thicker page notebooks, so there's also that to keep in mind. I just hope you can kind of follow along with what I did here today, and that might help you in researching what notebook you might want to use next. Don't just pick one because it's popular. Pick one because you think it's actually going to work for you. It is not helpful to spend your money on shit that other people like that you don't know if you will like. It doesn't matter how many people like it. If you're not going to like it, then it's a waste of money. So don't waste your money. Or do your best. I mean, it's hard. Right now, I kind of want to stress by all of the things. I'd love to hear from you in the comments what your favorite notebook is for bullet journaling, or for just drawing or sketchbooking if you don't bullet journal, whatever the case may be. Let's talk about notebooks and be enablers in the comments. At least enablers in the search for what's going to work for us rather than the buy all the things and eventually, like the million monkeys typing on the million typewriters, eventually you'll find the right one. Let's try and be a little more scientific than that, all right? Take care of yourselves, you guys. Wash your hands, wear a mask. You know I love you. And God, I hope we figure this election out soon. Peace out, you guys. Subscribe, all the things.